Hi, and welcome to the Your Good News podcast with me, your host, Katherine Getty. It's easy to believe the news around us, that the world is dark and the future is the same. But what if we chose something different? What if we chose to find the good news in each day? This podcast is a collection of interviews with friends, mentors, colleagues on their good news, and some solo episodes on inspiration I find, from business to health to politics and kind of everything in between. It's my hope you leave with a boost and find your good news. Welcome to another episode. I am so pumped for you to hear the second episode featuring Hunter Wallace. If today is your first episode of the Your Good News podcast, welcome. But you better listen to episodes 22 and 45 that both feature today's guest, which is episode 47. I just had this dear friend, Hunter Wallace, join me, and we recorded for over an hour and a half. And it was just so much fun that I knew we need to split this up into a little bit more bite-sized pieces. For a refresher on Hunter, he has lived across this country and has been just a shining example in my life of being authentically and unapologetically yourself. It's inspiring. And when I started this podcast, I really wanted to tell stories of people doing good in a world that sometimes doesn't feel that way. And today's special episode is all about relationships. Entering them, exiting them, supporting friends in them. It is very spicy for sure. Without further ado, my interview with Hunter. Let's go to spicy. Spicy is going to be all things relationship, dating, how to understand sex and relationships. And I think
Let me get my jewel for this one.
And the last one is single. And I kind of thought of this in the lens of single friends, dating friends, and married friends, because I think that as I grow older, I feel like sometimes people feel like if I'm single, I can't talk to so-and-so, or if I'm married. And I get it. Everyone's in different places, but I think that it's just creating space for people to be where they're at is more important. So these are the topics we're going to delve into. So dating, it's a mindfuck sometimes because you got to be real honest.
Yeah. And the last time we spoke, I had literally I think 6 days prior to our podcast,
yeah.
Me and my boyfriend had broken up, and I have just re-entered the dating scene. And it is you said it perfectly. It's a mindfuck because I went from talking to this person every day. They know, the ins and outs of my life, what makes me happy, what makes me sad, the thoughtfulness, the crying to each other, the rejoicing with each other. And then we had negative moments. We really did. And that is a part of a relationship. But I said to someone the other day, I was I'm already so sick of these dating apps. It's not that I don't care. I do care because I do genuinely want to get to know the inner workings of someone, how they became who they are. But oh, so when did you come out? Oh, your mom and dad still are together. That's great. So where's your career go? It's the
same.
It is. And there's some you hit it off. Me and my ex, our first date was 7 hours. I mean, it was just the creme de la creme, rom-com story of a date. And it was so wonderful. But I will say that you can't also compare. I'm now at the point where I can't compare things to that because that was the connection that me and him had.
Yeah.
And I will find that connection with other people. But in the gay world, sometimes people are looking for the next best thing. And it's very interesting right now for me to be in it because I do it too. I mean, I look for the next best thing and oh, he's hotter than so-and-so, or his personality is better than so-and-so. And so it's very interesting to get back into it and try and create relationships that are not just solely based around sex. And in the gay community, so much is based around sex. And I'm not opposed to it, but you want to be able to go to a drink and then go home by yourself, and then the next day and then the next day. So it's very interesting. And I actually, and this is, I don't think people find this weird, but like I actually surround myself with couples. So like my two couples that I hang out with all the time, it's Joe and Keaton and Ryan and Parker.
Yeah.
And I love it because I have like four friends. I love them all in very different ways. And, I'm very blessed that like they don't exclude me from certain things because I'm not in a relationship. Like I'm fine being the fifth wheel. It does not bother me at all. It really doesn't. And they've welcomed me with such open arms. Like we all became friends at the same time. Like it's just, we're the Motley Crew. And then we have our friends Sawyer and Will that are also part of the group and like a greater group. But it's so interesting to like get back into the dating scene while also still trying to manage my friends. And I kind of have to get out of the mindset right now where like, I don't want to go on a date. I know I'll have like so much fun with my friends. Why would I go waste an hour and a half with someone else? Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. And I think the heart, like, I was single for a long time, is that I found like, I was like, why do I want to put myself up to a place and be in a vulnerable place when like life feels vulnerable, if that makes any sense? And it's like, I don't feel like I fully get enough time with my friends where I'm like present. May that be because of work or life or whatever, that I think that sometimes I feel like I felt stressed to like take time away. Does that make any sense? Like I don't know. And I don't know how to thread that needle.
It makes too much sense.
Yeah.
No, it makes too much sense. Let's throw it back to my therapist, Keegan. Hey, Keegan, we're talking about you again. I am a very structured person. Mondays, I work out at 4:15 and 5:30. Tuesdays, I work out every single morning at 6:30. I start East Coast hours and I start at around like 7:15, 7:30. I work till about 4. From there, like my day is open. Wednesdays, prior to my ex, Wednesdays were my date days. So if I had a date, I always said Wednesday because that is the middle of the week. I know that Thursday and Friday I could be hanging out with the boys. I know that Monday is my day. I'm recluse on Mondays. I don't speak to anyone. Like it is my day to cook my meals, make my juice for the week.
Yeah.
I'm a juicer now. And I compartmentalize things. And he was just like, he said something to me. He's like, you're doing everything in accordance to your life and you're not taking into account other people's lives. And when he said that, I was like, I hate you, 1, 2, holy shit, you're so right. And so for me, on that note of like, I feel like I'm taking away, it helped me control a little bit of like, I don't want to take away time from my friends. So now I do Monday through Wednesday can be my date days because Thursday and Friday, I want to like make sure it's either with like a friend I haven't seen in a little while, and they can fall into the Monday through Wednesday bucket too. But like if someone wants to go on a date, it's during those days. And it's better than one day. I now do 3 days where I have that possibility, but it's so hard because you're going to enjoy their company. You're going to want to be with them and you get to experience, like, these are the people that you, in the moment at this time, you experience life with.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't want to experience life with someone else, because I do. And I loved when me and my ex experienced life together, but it was very different. It's very different now because I'm back at like stage 1. And so I have to like take that time to be like, okay, it's okay to go on a date. And, I also have to remember, you're in a relationship now. And so, like what it means to just like make also time for your significant other. And so like they're doing that for each other, unbeknownst to me. I know they do it because they're like, oh, we're going on a date tonight. Can't hang tonight. I'm like, okay, cool. Like I have to remember to do that for myself because like you have to do it, because if you don't, and it's the same way when you're single and it's the same way when you're married. Well, I'm guessing married is a little different. I'm far from that. But.
And I think one thing that as you're saying this is that you have such like an awareness of like where you feel comfortable. I think that oftentimes when I'm like thinking about friends, it's like I have friends where if I like say something and they're single, like it's like, why are you saying that you're like going on a date? And I was like, you literally asked me what I was doing and I told you like I can't tonight because I'm doing this with so-and-so. I think, how do you navigate like friendships? Maybe this is like self-help for me. How do you navigate friendships when you're like, I got to set boundaries for myself. I got to show up authentically. I also got to experience new things all at the same time. Like, fuck. Does that make sense?
Fuck is correct. No, it does make sense, because when people are single, Hunter Wallace here. Hi, boys.
Shout out.
When people are, shout out, hit me up on Instagram, Hunter_Leon. And no, but it is such a, like, when you're talking to your single friends, they see it as a slight to them.
Yes.
But it's not a slight. If I ask the boys what they're doing, they're like, oh, Joe and Keaton, like, we're going on a date tonight. Ryan Parker, we're going on a date tonight. I'm like, okay, great. I was like, kisses, like, whatever. Like, I don't think anything of it. I guess I'm also, because I'm in the mindset where it's like, it's just not a slight to me. And like, I also want my friends to stay together. So go on your date, do your damn thing. Like, go be lovey-dovey with one another.
It probably says more about those people. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, going back to the beginning, like, it's a projection of like, you want to be in
insecurity, and they want to be in something. No, absolutely. And so like, I think like with those boundaries, vulnerability was my word of 2021. And honestly, it's going to be my word for 2022 as well. And it's just, if someone ever made me feel a certain way, caused me anxiety, circling back to the beginning, I'm gonna say something that's not derogatory and be like, oh, like if it was them, I'd be like, hey, I'm projecting on you a little bit. I'm so sorry if I came off in a certain way. Like, I didn't mean it that way. It's just, I'm single. I miss dating life, blah, 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 blah. Like, and I think that for you in this scenario, it's one of those things. Is it like, did you cause this anxiety to yourself? Or did someone else cause it? They're causing it to you. You can't do anything about it. It's their insecurities.
Yeah.
You can't carry it and be like, hey, we're going on, like, I'm a planner, so I would totally like be like, can't do tonight, going on a date.
Yeah.
We're having date night. What's the plan tomorrow and Sunday?
Yeah.
Because it distracts from what you're doing, and you're also opting in to be like, I want to see you. Does that make sense? It's like, it's saying one thing while also showcasing, like, I do want to see you Saturday and Sunday, wide open, baby. Got my workout, doing a little soul cycle ride. And then let's do brunch or let's go shop. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And I think what I'm hearing, because like, I feel like a lot of people feel this way. It's like, everyone is in like different life phases, and that's a beautiful thing. And I don't know where along the lines we had to feel like we were in the same place, because we never were. Like, even when we were in college, we may have been going to the same 4-year institution, or we may have been at the same job or whatever it may be, but we're not in the same place. And that's okay. And that's beautiful.
Yep.
And like, I find beauty in like seeing my friends who now have kids. I'm like, that's wicked awesome. Or I see friends that are like experiencing dating, and I'm like, man, I like remember like the fucking bad dates where like a guy asked me like what I did for fun, and he was like, I was like, oh, like I like to go to the museums. This was Getty when I like first came to DC. And I go, so what do you do? And he goes, I do cocaine. And I was like, cool. So we're
And for that reason, I'm out. If someone ever responded to me that they like to do for fun is cocaine, I'd be like, 1-800 manage
help
my addiction. Here you go. And 2, like, I'm out.
I also don't think my mom knows this story. So Mom, I'm sure you're going to really enjoy this playback.
Well, let's just talk about dates real quick. Dates are the most awkward. They can be, excuse me. They're not the most awkward. They can be really awkward, especially when you're text. That's why when I match with someone on Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, whatever the hell it may be, you have a 5-day window with me, because I'm not going to get invested with you for 2 weeks and then meet you and you're a flop. Like, you could think I'm a flop or I could think you're a flop, but like, it really is like, I have to do it. Yeah. Cause like, I'm like, I gotta meet you. I went on this date probably 3 weeks ago. We've like known each other for a little while, like in passing, that whole Instagram thing where like you follow each other and you like each other's photos. I'm like, oh, looking good, whatever. Gay world, straight world too. We just had a mutual, like literally at the end of the date, I was like, it was so nice to meet you. He's like, yeah, I'll see you around sometime. And I was like, yep.
And it was like
was mutual, mama, mutual. And there's a point to the story in that then there's other dates where you're like, I'm so enthralled with that person. And then they're not. with you.
Mm.
I am trying to flip the narrative on dates right now and being like, instead of being like, I'm trying to figure out how to word it, but it's like, instead of me sitting there like being like, oh my
Trying to
God,
prove yourself.
yeah. And I'm like, okay, I like you, or excuse me, oh, you like me, but do I like you?
Yeah.
Like,
I think
does that make sense? Or you're like,
no, I think it goes back to being a Southern people pleaser. Like, and I'm not trying to like say bad things about the South, but I think that there is like this ingrained, like, people pleasing, everyone needs to be comfortable, like, mentality that like does not serve us in dating. Like, I
oh
don't need to
no,
prove myself to you. Like, at this
I
point
don't
in
know
our
you
lives,
from, I don't know you
yeah,
from Adam.
we should know who we are and be like grounded in that fact. Thanks for coming to that TED Talk.
I mean, but let's like, I'm guessing some of our listeners and you have heard of Grinder.
Hmm.
Do you know what Grinder is?
What is it? What is it like? Like, is it as bad as Tinder was?
It's not bad, but like there is one thing that you're looking for when you're on Grinder, and it is now. And so when you have Grinder and you've got like, you're looking at torsos of bodies, you're looking at faces, you're looking at all of them. I have no shame. I've been on the grind. I've been on the Grinder. And you're sitting there like, you have one thing. You're like, I want to hook up, whether it be right now or tomorrow or whatever. I'm so glad that like heterosexual couples don't have this, because like that is so scary for a girl. Like it scares the shit out of me if like it was a male and female kind of like thing where it's like, anyways, that's like an entire narrative that I had at dinner the other night with friends.
No, I feel like Tinder used to be like that. Like, I
Can I
heard
tell
like
you? Can I tell you the breakdown now?
the horror story. Okay, sorry.
Grinder is the instantaneous. Tinder is the also instantaneous. It's Hinge and Bumble now that are the two datings.
I know.
Tinder has become the hookup app.
Well, I think the hardest thing is that dating now, like, no one wants to take the like leap to introduce someone to another person because they're like, I don't want that blowback on me. Like, if it goes south. And I hate that because I think that like you're missing something. And I'm like, I personally at first found it really hard to get on the apps. Like, I was like, this feels like super disingenuous. Like, I'm
Yep.
an extroverted introvert. Like, I'm extroverted, but like I need my me time. So like feeling like I had to like keep proving myself on an app like felt super disingenuous. But I think it's kind of the way of the future. And I like don't know how to feel about that. But like I think it's just like,
I would love to meet someone at a Whole Foods. I'm not kidding. I'd love to be in the vegetable section holding a big cucumber. I'm just kidding. And like someone walks up and is like, oh, are you in search for cucumber? I'm just kidding. That's not what I want. But I'd rather be in the peanut butter aisle. Like, oh, you like Justin's peanut butter? Great. Me too. Oh my God, you're really cute. Okay, cool. You want to go get a cocktail? I would love that.
I know.
But Tinder.
No one speaks to anybody. Like COVID with the mask, like everyone's like,
oh yeah, there was this guy, like I'd probably say like a month ago, we kept eyeing each other in Whole Foods the entire time. Well dressed, well put together. I was wearing my 5-inch booty shorts, just finished the workout, looking snatched as hell, sweaty, but snatched. And I remember getting in my car and be like, you are the most out there, can talk to anyone human being.
But
why didn't you just not walk up to him? I just didn't. It's so funny that I'm sitting there like, I want my meet cute, oh, I bump into you with my stroller, not a stroller. What's it called? You shopping cart.
Yeah.
I bump into you.
I like how I did the
arms. Me just taking a stroller to a grocery store and putting all my groceries in it. I'm like, I don't have a baby. I'm making food babies. I just like, but no, that's what I want. But Tinder, it's such an interesting because you just swipe. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Looks. And like, there's nothing wrong with it, but at the same time, I'm like,
it doesn't feel authentic.
I'd rather, yeah.
Which like, no. I feel like makes this, first of all, you're going to have to come back for another episode. So sorry, not sorry.
I'm like I'm literally once a quarter. I cannot wait.
I know, right? I mean, I feel like to like put a bow on this, like to think about self-work from the beginning of like holding a mirror. And I'm now going to say it of being honest with the amazing things about yourself and also the things that you want to like work on and grow in. It's the being honest with anxiety and depression and finding those ways to ground back down into yourself. It's dating the good, the bad, the ugly of the stories. It's understanding how to relate to sex in relationships, which I feel like we didn't really even like get into besides like near the tail end. So we might have to dive into that again. Hunter, thank you. First off, anything you want to like leave the listeners with before we get done?
Well, I'm excited to say that since we are long-winded, we have the ability to have another one of these where we talk about some of these a little bit more. Because I think that the one thing that like, I'm so glad it hit you, and I hope that it's hitting the listeners too. It's like when you're doing reflection, it doesn't have to be negative.
Yeah.
It can be positive. Pat yourself on the back, give yourself words of affirmation. When you have those moments of negatives, like look it in the face and be like, are you really something that I'm upset about? Or are you just like a fleeting bird in the distance? Like, are you really seeping into my brain, or are you just having an anxious moment? And reflecting on that and just making sure that, and you know, to bring all of it together, self-work is going to help you in every aspect of your life, your significant others, your work, and your friends. And it's also going to make a better relationship for yourself. If I sat here, like I said, and talk shit to myself every single morning, and like I said, hypocrisy is a thing. I have mornings where I wake up and I'm not vibing with myself. But, you know, 8 times out of 10, it's the opposite. I am trying to speak positive to myself. I am waking up and doing my routine that makes me happy. And so all I can say is like, 1, sex is great. 2,
sorry, Mom.
The good and the bad. Yeah, the good and the bad can be talked about in tandem. You don't always have to focus on the bad. You can truly focus on the positive and the good. And for all you singles out there, remember your self-worth. Remember that at the end of the day, like if you don't vibe with someone, you know who you vibe with? Yourself. You vibe with yourself. You're having a bad day or that date was shitty, pour yourself a glass of wine, smoke yourself a joint if that's what you like to do, put on your favorite show, and just like be happy. Because one thing that I've said to a couple of friends before is, I have a friend right now that's like, she's getting in the dating scene and she's really having a good time with it. And I was like, good, have a good time with it, because what is 1 hour of your life to go have a drink with someone? And if it's a shitty date, order a double the next round and then call it quits at 45 minutes and be like, oh, I have a phone call. Or just be honest with the person and be like, hey, like, thank you so much for cocktails. Like, don't really feel a spark here right now. But yeah, I just think that like finding that self-worth and realizing that like you cannot let other people cause you anxiety, because we cause ourselves enough anxiety and depression in this world. Having someone else bring it to you, it's just going to be a no bueno for me.
It's going to be a no for me, dog. Thanks so much.
And for that reason, I'm out. Just kidding.
Hunter, I am going to be like vibing again all night. Thank you so much. I am beyond appreciative for you sharing your energy and joining another episode. And we'll have you back so soon for another episode of the Your Good News podcast. What a fun way to bring these few episodes home. It has been so much fun to share more with Hunter and to create some more good. I mean, we delved into all things relationship, and honestly, I think Hunter and I could have kept going. So there is definitely more content with Hunter in our future. Thank you again, Hunter, for joining. And thank you for listening to another episode of the Your Good News podcast. It means so, so much to me. And I just want to say thank you again. If you liked today's episode, like I say, please subscribe, leave a review, share with someone you know. As Cody Rigsby says, share with someone you don't. And reach out to me. I'm on Instagram. Handle is at Katherine Getty. I'd love to hear your feedback. Love to hear what you're thinking about future episodes. And I always share more content about the episodes there too. So don't forget, tune in next week for another episode of the Your Good News podcast.